All right. It looks like we're live. I've got one screen open on YouTube and one screen open here on Zoom with Megan. And we are here back, Goddess Vibrations. Right. It looks like we're live. I've got one screen open on YouTube and one screen open here on Zoom with Megan. I thought I muted it. Now it's muted. That's what I'm talking about. Technical difficulties. Okay. So Goddess Vibrations, we've been on hiatus for 4 years, and I can't think of a better guest to have on for the next, debut and to be back. And it feels so good to be back. And one of the reasons is not only do we share some of the same values, but you have so much Leo energy, obviously. Rawr, you've got your animal print on today.
That's true.
But Leo rising, and with this Pluto and Aquarius time, that's what the world needs right now. We need more Leo. We need more creativity, more love, more play.
Dogs.
Oh no, I knew she was going to start humping. I knew it. I was like, she's been so good. And I'm like, she's gonna get turned on already. She's gonna feel the energy. And she's a goddess too. That's Apollonia. Apple, come here.
Feeling the vibes.
Oh my gosh.
The Eros vibes.
Come here. she's it's her first time going live on YouTube. She's a little nervous too. Anyway. Oh, and she's a Leo too. So there you go. She likes to be seen doing her twerking as well. Yeah, but we're here to talk about the erotic mother. And if y'all have been with me on Instagram lately, you've been noticing in my stories I've been posting some beautiful sensual erotic photos that Megan took. She is the photographer, and if you go to her page, it is like a transformational experience. Every time I look at your posts, I just feel awe and bliss. So I think somebody could just go to your page. Like I was in the bathtub the other night and it was like, I started feeling all tingly and just like, oh, it's a pleasure just to look at your page. That's true art. True art is when you make people feel something, right? And the shots are very, a lot of nude shots, a lot of like erotic stuff, but it's so beautiful. It's not, the world needs more of that. We have enough porn out there. This is not pornified. It's like putting the sacredness back into the female figure and her owning that erotic aliveness.
I love that.
Yeah. So you told me a while back, a few weeks ago, that you're really focusing more content on the erotic mother, and that's really passionate, an area of passion for you. Same for me. I think any young mother who doesn't have this like knowledge or education, she's going to crash and burn at some point. I know I did. I think it was about 2 years in to being a mother. And then we have to find ourselves again, and we have to remember who we are and to get that spark back, because our children don't learn from what we tell them to do. They actually learn from being in our energy and watching how we move. And that teaches them how to, be in the world and stay in their joy and their life force energy. So I wanted to introduce everybody, to you, your brand. Like, we're both going through huge life transformations, and you're such an inspiration to me, not only because of your bold Leo energy that just shines and gives everybody else permission to shine and love yourself too, and love your body and all of that, but you did something quite unconventional with motherhood. And I'm, in my own way, kind of following in your footsteps this year and just taking the plunge to do something different. That's always been a dream of mine, but now I'm like, okay, once again, your Leo energy, take up space, give other people permission. So thank you for that. So I don't know how much you want to say. If you want to say a little bit about your story, or if you want to just dive right into what the erotic mother means to you, or we could go anywhere you want to go. Whatever
Yeah.
pleasure.
Yeah, I think give me a question and then I'll just answer it.
Yeah. Say a little bit about your story and why you're so passionate about I guess giving women permission to be an erotic mother. What does the erotic mother mean to you?
Okay. So a little bit of background on me is that I had two kids. They're 2 years apart. And when my daughter was 6 months old, I separated from their father and I was living alone with them and basically raised them on my own for 10 years, which you all have also experienced solo motherhood, and it's intense. But like I was so happy to be a mom. It was my dream my whole life to have my kids. And like they were so precious and like those years were just so beautiful. But at the same time, I didn't realize I was slowly depleting all of my reserves, you know, um, just showing up for them on the day to day, doing all the domestic work, running my own business. I had my parents nearby, but it was still just a lot. And I literally had no idea that I was in warrior mode and just slowly like chipping away at my storehouse of energy to show up for my kids. And I reached a point where I had just kind of come to the end of myself after the end of a 4 year relationship that I had had after my divorce. And I was just kind of at an all time low where I was. I was in such deep grief from the loss of that relationship, as well as I had left like a community that I was in because we just weren't aligned on our paths. Nothing against them, but we were parting. But like my entire world just dissolved like within 3 months of my main support people. And I was experiencing such deep grief and my deepest like abandonment wounds were triggered that I just didn't have the capacity to show up the way I needed to for my kids. And I realized, wow, there's no resources for mothers who are in my position, like solo mothers, women going through grief, women going through things, like where we can't just be like the one man army taking care of everything on our shoulders. Like, where do I have to go?
Mhm.
There, I was reaching out to my parents for help, but my mom was caretaking my grandma, and I was just like, oh, I need to like go. Something has to radically shift here, which I feel like we come to these moments in life where there's just no more gas in our engine. There's literally nothing in there.
Mhm.
And that's when we're pushed to really make these crazy pattern disrupts, identity shifts, transitions. And I was at that point and I realized I need to let my ego die here and admit to myself I'm not the one fully resourced to do the caretaking full time for the kids right now. Actually, their dad is better resourced than I am. And, he had been living in Hawaii, really working on his health. He's Hawaiian. He had been working on his personal development for years and was dying to have the kids, like begging me for years to have them more often. And I was just like, you know what? Can we try this thing where you take the kids for the school year and I have them in the summer and I'll come and visit them throughout the year and then have them on all their school breaks? And he was like, yes, yes. Like, yes, I've been wanting that. And I was like, okay, let's do it. Let's just do an experiment. And I, you know, it was something where I really was just blindly following my instincts. 'Cause I'd literally never heard of any of my friends doing anything like that, like any other women I knew ever. It was just like in my mind, like, oh, women who were abandoning their kids weren't with them full time. And, you know, when I went to my parents and told them my plan, my dad looked me straight in the face and was like, "What are you doing? Like, your daughter needs you. You can't do this." Like, he was angry. He was, and my mom too was just like, "What?" Like, and I didn't tell anyone. I didn't tell any of my friends. I didn't even tell my best friend until after I made the decision and the plan with their dad, because I just couldn't have anyone's projections on me,
Mm-hmm.
because it was so radical for me to make that kind of decision. And yet I just knew that I needed to do it, and knew my son needed to be near his dad. He was getting to the age like pre-puberty where they really need to be with testosterone, and something that I couldn't provide. And I needed to nourish myself. I needed to do something so revolutionary, which is allow the community to come around my children and their father to take a lot of ownership over the caretaking aspect. And I go literally, I went to Brazil for 6 months and frolicked like a mermaid on the beaches and like replenished my spirit. I was so dry. I was like a cracked desert floor, and when I went there, it was just like my whole body was like whoosh, like just sucked up all the moisture of like the Amazon rainforest and the beaches and the people and the joy and the vibrancy. And like this is like the most joyful culture in the world. I'm obsessed with Brazil. I used to live there in my 20s and I went back there because it just makes my soul happy to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so radical. And so I just like, ugh. I just did it. I had to follow my instincts, and I ended up there, and I literally came back to life because it was 10 years that I was with them in San Diego,
Mm-hmm.
and I was really depleted, much more than I allowed myself to admit. I feel like there's so much just pressure on moms to be so strong and hold so much. And you know, I was talking to a mom today because I'm here in Miami right now. I came here for a women's conference, and she came for just the weekend with a friend. They drove a few hours, and she was like, "I have a 3-year-old and at home." And I was like, "You do?" And I knew like she had gone out last night with her friend on the town to have fun. And I was like, "Good for you for like nourishing yourself and doing this for yourself." And she's like, "Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
was struggling with mom guilt." And I was just like, "No, we gotta encourage each other as moms to eradicate this mom guilt thing and do what lights us up and makes us feel alive and gives us pleasure and fun." I feel like when I had my kids, you know, with me full time, I allowed myself to ask for help with them if I had to go do something for work
Mm-hmm.
or something to survive, you know. But if I was like, "Here, can you help me with the kids so I can just go do this pleasurable, fun thing for myself?" Like, no, that wasn't a thing. And honestly, like my parents have been so supportive and so helpful, like more than most people have with family support and help. And still, yet, still, it was just like so much.
Yeah.
So I'm so passionate about giving women the permission to create a version of motherhood that's authentic to them. And it might look so, so different than, you know, the program that we learn growing up and we've seen the previous generation of moms do. But we got to follow our own path. Otherwise, you just are like this flower that slowly wilts.
Well,
And
isn't it interesting in our culture that men can be whoever they are? Like they can be true to their personality or they can be true to their individual, gifts or talents or passions, but women are really put in a role. Like
mhm,
you have a role, and if you're not that role, there's something wrong with you. And so when you have somebody like yourself who's an artist and very artistic, and I've dated artists as well. I'm also an artist, not in the same way where it's my necessarily my career, except I would argue that hypnosis is art with words. But um,
yeah.
you need a lot of alone time. You need a lot of time to like download, channel, come back into your own energy, to be receptive and open to get that inspiration that you're then, creating for the collective. And that is not how motherhood really works. Like, motherhood is sort of the opposite, where you're always being tugged on. I mean, even as we speak, I have a puppy that's standing on the coffee table and trying to eat rings and remote controls and all. So like that's happening right now, right? As I work. But that's sort of what it is. It's like you do your work, you do your business, but you're always having to keep one eye, open for this other being. And that doesn't really work with settling your nervous system and getting into like creative inspiration. And so I heard you say, like, I was so dry. I was like a cracked desert, because the way that motherhood is looked at in our culture now is you either abandon yourself or you abandon your children. There's no in between, right? And so most of us choose abandoning ourselves, at least for a time, until we realize now our children could potentially be abandoned, because it's that dire, where we can't even show them what joy looks like, and we can't function, and we don't have the energy to get up and do the things. And so you found a way in between, right? And that it's like creating a path for more women to do that. And for you and I know we share a lot of values. Our mothering, our parenting is slightly different. I have a lot of Cancer energy in my chart. I nurture for a living, all of this stuff. So for me, it's like, it would be very, very, I'm not saying I couldn't do it, but it'd be very, very hard to be away from my babies. But what I've done most of my mothering is I've taken them along on whatever I'm doing. Like, and part of that is I didn't have any family here raising my children. I was married for the first, until my oldest was 7. And then after that, solo parenting, and trading, back and forth, 50-50 custody. But because we never had any support, the kids went to the store with us. The kids went to the doctor with us. The kids went to all our appointments with us. Like they got to experience the world. They didn't stay home with sitters or anything like that. And now I'm about to set sail and take a massive road trip and do like a world tour. I don't know, in my own little version. And the dog and the kids are coming with me, at least for, a part of it. And we'll see what happens. But this is really important, to find those ways to stay in touch with yourself. And also, we dance, you and I, we pole dance, we do erotic dance, you take photos. Like it's a thing to dance in the mirror, take photos, and remind yourself that you're still a playful, erotic woman, even if you're having to caretake and provide and sacrifice at least part of your day for another being. And I think women are unsubscribing right now from mothering men. That's also been a cultural setup. And we don't want to do it anymore. We're tired. We're tired of mothering everybody and then being left dry and cracked. Who's coming to water us? And I would say that even while mothering, there has to be a fountain flowing back to you. And if it's not a husband, or it's not a community, or it's not a circle, then it is your erotic dance. It is getting yourself literally wet and turned on to water yourself then. And to me, that's what I think is the importance of the erotic mother.
Oh, yes. So essential. You brought me to my first pole dance club something years ago.
Oh my goodness, and look at you now. You started like a little Bambi in the middle of like a grief breakdown, and I remember you were having health and hormonal issues. You were so thin and
thin.
And you grew a booty, and you'd like to twerk it and smack it, and it's all over the place. It's all over the internet.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you were like, this is my therapy. Okay.
Yeah.
And you're a therapist. And I was like, if my therapist friend is going to the pole studio for her therapy,
Hmm.
I gotta go. I gotta do this. I need this therapy right now.
And you could see how addicting it is. It's like,
Oh yeah. My whole body was like buzzing with energy. I was literally vibrating. I felt so alive when I was in that class
Mhm.
because I had such a permission field to be my fully expressed erotic self. And I was so used to being like the person in my friend group that's just like the crazy one who's so out there and like so just wild with my
Yeah.
sexuality. And then to be in a space of other women who also were just so free and express, and I could just be celebrated for who I really am was so mind blowing to me.
Yeah.
I couldn't, it just felt so healing because I have a really deep tribal wound with just being rejected for my sensual expression. Um, I was sharing actually earlier today, and I don't normally talk about this story because it's been a few years ago, but I was in like a evangelical Christian community that was very high control religion. And I was just so really seeking a community of people that were focused on love and being like a chosen family, you know, and I really felt that there. And I still love that about that community. Like those people really are beautiful and their hearts are so like they really want to love, but at the same time, it was like with these conditions of you have to, you know, not have any sex before marriage or you know, really do anything sexual unless you're engaged or married.
Mhm.
And I had told one of the leaders in the community that I had made out with my now he's my former husband and the father of my children, but at that time we were just dating.
Mhm.
And I was like, you know, I made this bad decision and I made out with so and so. And they ended up telling me that I couldn't go to their they had like a school there where it wasn't like a you know, what's the word? Like, kind of similar to like a college you would go to be ordained as a minister.
Mhm.
They have their own version of that, but they told me that I wasn't accepted into the school because I had done that, and I had to move back home, and I really felt like I was exiled from the community because I had done this thing, and it just really marked me. It was in a very formative time in my life. And I just thought, you know, what the fuck is wrong with me? Why am I so sexual? Why can't I control this part of myself? What is wrong with me? Literally. And so to find this tribe of people with the pole dance community, with these pole studios that are like just blowing up everywhere all over the world now, to find this community of women that like celebrated me for how wild I am. I was like, wait, what? I can be like this. And I mean, it just changed my whole life. I just became obsessed. And I was, like you said, like going through this breakup. And I went to the pole studio, and that was like the only place that I felt beautiful when I would show up there and be in my embodiment of the eros and be with these other beautiful women, all shapes and sizes, like wearing thongs, shaking their asses. We're all just like cheering each other, you know, learning this like the art of sensual dance is just lit my soul on fire and completely changed my relationship to my body. And I think doing that when we come into our bodies and start to express that part of ourself, we also connect to our intuition and our power and our discernment and like all the things I needed to be able to make that kind of choice to radically alter like my motherhood story. Like I'm sure I wouldn't have been able to do that if I hadn't been dancing like
Mhm.
constantly for the years leading up to that.
It's a big, it's a big piece. And I think, to your point, what's so sacred about it is that it's a place where you can turn up instead of being told to turn down. Because
Yeah.
as women, we're always being told to turn down our eroticism or our sexiness or our sexuality unless it's for a man. If it's to benefit a man, then it's like, great, bring it, but then he has to be the owner of it, right? Like
Yeah.
he owns it. And it's a place that there's no men involved, and there's no extraction, there's no you don't have to like worry about swiping a hand off of you or eyes being creepy on you. It's just women witnessing you in awe and being turned on, not necessarily sexually, although that could be part of it. It's more like inspired and in a space of awe, like that is just so beautiful. Thank you for bringing it. And now I can go even further with my
Mhm.
dance. And there's nothing quite like it. I think the closest thing that I experienced before that was working with Mama Gina at the School of Womanly Arts, where she is constantly telling women to turn it up, be bold, be audacious, all of that, which is what so many women need to practice. And you were born with it, you came in with it, right? So this is your time to shine. Like women need this, right?
Yeah.
But there's some of us that have to really work on it. And for me, like I always say, I'm an undercover exhibitionist. Like it has to be this special set of circumstances, but like it's there, but it's just not my MO, but that's like my little secret. And so for me, I love being around women like yourself because it turns that on so easily. It just unlocks it, which that's not always the case. And I think in the difference, I guess, between like Mama Gina's program and the pole studio is it is embodied. You're moving your body. And to your point, it not only is it preparing you emotionally, psychologically to come back to yourself, but the feminine movement where we're moving very slow and sensually and rolling the body. And I mean, that is the basics of S Factor because it's like the S shape. And for me, I look back to when I was dancing a lot at the studio and my body never looked better. It's so
Mhm.
like toned and curvy and yet lean. And um I miss that. I've been moving so much lately that I haven't been giving my body enough of what it needs. And now I'm in a smaller space too, which is a little
Mhm.
to dance at home. But even that form of feminine movement is very good for the body and the shape that we often as women are trying to achieve, as well as for me, I have full blown arthritis in my knees. I need full knee replacement. And it's one of the movements that I can do because it's body led. I lead it. Nobody's telling me. And I know I went to a choreography class with you and I was like, oh, I don't like this very much. But
Yeah.
that's part of it is because I have less control over getting injured. It's hard to
Right.
listen to my body, especially when I get blissed out. And there's nothing like some empowering, sexy music and erotic movement and lingerie and all that stuff to put you into a blissful, altered state. And then I feel no pain and I'll do things that my body's like, what are you doing? This is not going to feel good tomorrow. So I have to be aware of that too, right? The,
Yeah.
the altered state, just like when you came over for some hypnosis, I'm like, let me feed you because I need you to drive home safely. I need to break the
Oh my
trance.
God. Yeah. Yeah. I was like, I can barely walk.
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, I think both of us work in that realm of creating bliss states, right? And creating altered states in different ways. And again, I think that is art
Yeah.
and doing it for healing and for empowerment. And it's
Definitely.
unfortunate that it's sometimes misconstrued. And I think that's one of the things that pole dancers that work in the strip clubs for many years are saying now it's popular, it's trending, it's accepted because women like to do it for fitness. But what about us? We've been doing this all along, getting sexually harassed, being called hoes and whores and like all this stuff. And they have a valid point. Like they were really the sacrificial lambs of like, this is a beautiful art. And yet, being in this place, like what we have to deal with
Yeah.
to dance in a strip club. And and then there's, there's a lot of protection, there's bouncers, and you talked about jaguar energy, which was one of the things that, well, jaguar energy has always been really powerful for you, but we turned it up a couple notches in the hypnosis. And by the way, I'm wearing my jaguar necklace for you. This is, yeah,
Oh,
this is black onyx. I bought this when I was calling in, when I started really working a lot with jaguar and calling in jaguar energy. And then the stone is spectralite, which is a type of labradorite from Finland, which is where my ancestors are from.
wow.
But the interesting thing is they found spectralite during the war when they were being invaded. They were building a wall, a fence of protection, and they were digging in the ground, and they discovered this new stone called spectralite. So the stone,
Wow. Yeah, I've never heard of it.
yeah, the crystal, to them, it symbolizes empowerment and sovereignty and
Love
protection.
that.
So so that's my jaguar energy. And
Mhm.
like you were saying earlier today, I think, or yesterday when we were chatting, was when you are turning up, obviously the pole dance studio is a safe place for women. But that energy, they teach us this in S Factor too. Like when you leave here and you stop at the gas station, you have to learn how to turn it back down again, because you'll draw a lot of attention to yourself energetically, even if you're covered up or whatever. I mean, covering up is might be part of it, but um, bringing in Jaguar or as an energetic protection,
Yeah.
and that energy, which is, and when I say bringing it in, it's like literally you could connect to the animal spirit guide or archetype, just like this necklace, but it's also embodying that jaguar energy too. So I don't know if you want to share some of your recent, I mean, you've had a lot of a lot of situations come up since we did our hypnosis session with protection and jaguar energy, that you're really getting an opportunity to practice it,
Hmm.
have to be
Yeah.
forced, which is part of
Yeah.
the erotic mother too. If she's stepping into her eroticism, she also needs to step up into that,
Right.
those claws, that protection.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it started a few months ago because earlier in the year, I decided to start a dance collective with my best friend. And our goal was just to bring this art of sensual dance to whatever stages were presented to us, either through a performance art, like through shows that we put on, or if we're invited to come perform with, musicians or DJs, which, you know, has been something we didn't plan on doing, but it's just organically happened. And we've ended up in these spaces where we see, like, wow, when we enter into our full expression, unbridled, raw, erotic energy, and we're doing it together, it just creates this vortex that's a permission slip to everyone around us to fully embody their own self-expression, which is so incredibly powerful. Like there's literally no higher frequency than authenticity. It's even higher than love. I'm sure you probably heard that. But anyways, when I decided to do that, it was like doors just started opening. We started dancing in more public spaces, and we just had, we set off this domino effect in the universe. I feel like when you get clear on where you're going, what you want, and what you're creating, then you start getting initiated into deeper levels so that you can actually bring that dream into fruition. And alongside with having opportunities to do more of this dance in a more public way, I was presented with opportunities where I needed to step into my Jaguar protector energy and assert a very strong boundary with people that were predatory or unsafe. And it first happened at this show that I went to actually in San Diego. I was at a concert, and I remember before the show just joking around with my friend, being like, oh my God, my hair is just this vortex of energy. And I just love doing this and like, la, la, la. And it was like so big. It's always big, but it was maybe even like bigger that day. And
Mhm.
these actually these two women were standing behind me at the concert, and they ended up getting really irritated because my hair was touching them. You know, I'm almost 6 feet tall and I have giant hair, and we're at a concert. So they were just, there was room next to me though. Like they could have easily stepped to the side, but they wanted to be there. And they were just basically pissed that I was taking up so much space.
You're literally a tall poppy they're trying to cut down.
Yeah. So they were getting more and more aggressive as the show was going on. And then at one point I went to like move my purse over to this shoulder, and I guess, I don't know, I got too much in their space, or my hair did or something. And they kind of yelled at me, and I just turned around and I was like, stop, just super like firm and direct. And they were like, you stop. And it was just like, oh, and it was just my best friend and two other girls. And my friends were scared that these girls were going to jump me. But I literally stood there and I remember my toes like dug into the ground, and I saw this circle of fire go out from me.
Oh, wow.
And I was just like not backing down. I was like, I'm not going to move. They can move, they can step aside because I take up this much space and I own it. And they have to deal with it. They can move. They need to move, not me. I'm just existing in this space. And by me merely being here, I'm triggering the fuck out of them. But like, they're, I don't know. My best friend was like, dude, I thought they were going to hit you. And I was like, I knew that they were not going to actually do anything. So I wasn't afraid to be like, stop, you know? And after that, it's just kind of been like just different circumstances have come where I've had to say no. And it's also come up with photo shoots because I do sensual embodiment photography where I take women into nature and we do a whole ritual, and we're shooting usually nude or wearing minimal clothing, being sensual, just rewilding together, helping women reclaim that part of their identity that's usually like so suppressed. And I recently had an experience this past week where three different men were at a beach that I was photographing at, and they just kind of posted up by us and just literally started masturbating while we were shooting. And I literally had to turn the Jaguar on and go up to this one guy, and I was like, stop. You know, I just like walked straight up to him, look him in the face, and he was like, what? Like he didn't really do anything. And I was like, you need to stop now. You can't do that. I'm going to call the cops. I didn't say it like that. I was yelling. And he was just continuing to just sit there with his arms like this, like,
Mm.
and so I walked closer. Like I was ready to just walk straight up to him and be like, you need to stop doing that and get the fuck away. And I had to channel that like primal rage in order to get him to move. And once he realized I wasn't going to just give up, he did get up and move. But I mean, it literally is so life-changing to know that you have access to that inner jaguar if you need to call on it in an emergency like that. You know, there weren't any of our guy friends around to help us. It was just me and my friend I was shooting. And it felt powerful because he got up and moved. You
Yeah.
know, they're like, wait, what the fuck? Like she's telling me to stop. Like they're not used to that.
Yeah.
So I will I will get in someone's face. And then there's this one other situation that happened a week ago where there was a guy in our community who a girl came forward and said she was sexually assaulted by him. And he ended up at an event that I was at with my friends, and he came up to one of us and like wrapped his arm around her waist and was like, hi, stranger, and was just being really inappropriate because my friend didn't even know who he was, and he did that. And she had met him like twice briefly, but it was just really like too intimate for the amount that she knew him. And I just walked up to him, looked him in the eye, and was like, "You are making my friend and our friends uncomfortable. You need to move and go dance on the other side of the dance floor. You can't be here." And he was like, "What? Oh, okay." Like, "Oh, sorry." And he was polite and moved, and that was great. But once again, like I just had to go up to him and look him in the eye and tell him, like, "No, you can't do this. You can't just post up here and be a creeper and just stare at us." We were dancing and we were at like a dance event. So that happened. And then another last thing I'll share is I was at the gym, leaving the gym, and this old family friend from like years and years and years ago was there. He works at this gym and he was like, "Hey, Megan, you look so good." And I was with my mother. We were at the gym together and I was leaving, walking out the door, and he was like, "You look so good. You look tasty." Like that, like super flirty. And I just looked at him and I was like, "That is so inappropriate." I just looked at him straight in the eyes and said that. There's a thing with the eye contact. You gotta look them in the eye.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very like aggressive, primal body language thing. And I don't even think consciously like, "Oh, I'm gonna go look them in the eye." It's literally the jaguar spirit overcomes me and I just look them in the eye and I'm like, "No, you're not gonna act like this ape.
Mm-hmm.
You need to respect the goddess." Like men need to learn to handle themselves in the presence of a fully expressed goddess in her power. They
Mm-hmm.
can do that. They
Mm-hmm.
need to learn. No, you don't just pull down your pants and start jerking off just because
Just
there's a
because
goddess in your midst.
just
Like
because you think you can. I mean, but it just shows the entitlement, right? And I I the men that are prone to doing that want to dominate, they feel entitled, they look for women who are pleasing, who are gonna try to create harmony, who are going to try to smooth things over. That's who they actually target. So when you embody that fierce jaguar energy without being aggressive, you're just standing your ground and holding the boundary. They realize, just like the guy that was masturbating at the beach, is like, this is too much trouble. I could go do this to somebody who's a little bit easier, and that's really important, I think, for women in general to know. And I say that to my daughter too, like, do not try to smooth over the situation, like be rude, be, say no, that sort of thing, and until they start to realize that
Yeah,
we're not tolerating that. And
yeah, yeah. The be rude part is the key. And I feel like for me, just in my walk, that was the hardest hump for me to get over. Like I remember in a therapy session right after my divorce years ago, my therapist was like, "Okay, pretend that I'm your ex-husband and just like yell at me."
Mhm.
And I just kind of laughed and like was uncomfortable. And she was like, "Oh my God, you can't yell, can you?"
Mm,
And she was like, you really need to do some work around this.
mm,
And I think what really helped me was, like I said, the embodiment with dancing and coming into my body because it just helped me express like all the full gamut of emotions. And also, as I began to share more and more of like my dancing journey and like the nude photographs I post of women and everything, I got so much haters and so much backlash, and I lost friendships and I lost, you know, my, I had to be willing to have people judge me and, not approve of me and really be like so deeply okay with myself to handle all those projections. And I think that really train my nervous system to be able to handle like making people really uncomfortable by being super rude and
mm,
angry at them on
mm,
purpose
mhm.
if they need that, if the situation calls for it.
It's
Right?
that.
I think women are so conditioned that we have to be nice and pleasing and polite and quiet and soft. and then we're not allowed to express anger.
Mhm.
And I mean, it's absolutely essential to be able to access anger at like that if you need to protect yourself, protect your kids, protect your friends if there's a predator.
Mhm.
And there's no way you can feel safe in your body to fully express yourself sensually and be out in the world if you don't know you have access to that if you need it. There's always going to be this part of you that's like terrified.
Yeah. And it's sort of like that thing that we were talking about, that theme again of abandoning yourself or others, right? So it's like when people are projecting on you, when people are wanting you to be a certain way, it's saying, no, I'm not going to lose myself. I'm not going to over accommodate and over adapt for your comfort. Half the time, it's just that they don't want to do the work of looking at why they're triggered. Everybody has sexual healing to do, whether they're aware of it or not. And when they see a fully embodied woman and fully embodying her erotic energy, it makes them uncomfortable because they haven't yet explored that within themselves, or they still hold shame, or they're still very wired in with patriarchal conditioning and this mother whore complex, right? This another way we divide women into different roles instead of like being okay with a fully integrated woman that embodies all of it. Like you're saying, the anger too. I mean, so many men want a easy, soft, feminine, adaptable woman because that means no accountability for him. Nobody's checking him on anything. It's the same reason why my kids don't want like limits either. Like they want to just sleep until whenever, eat whatever they want. But who is that helping? Who is that helping? It's not helping him. It's not good for us. And this is, yeah, this is one of the areas I think Jaguar is an amazing energy to work with. And to your point, if I'm like parked in a not so great place, I'll call in Jaguar, take a minute before I leave the car and say, patrol my car while I'm gone. Or if I'm walking and I feel a little unsafe, I call in Jaguar, patrol me. You know, when I'm journeying, when I'm doing shamanic journeys, I call in Jaguar to protect the space. Or like my shamanic teacher says, like if you end up in the spirit realms and you do encounter an energy that is threatening or I don't know, shouldn't say the word evil, but like, you know, it's not a good energy. Sometimes that happens. You have to call on something bigger than yourself,
Hmm.
whatever that is. It could be an animal guide, it could be Christ consciousness, it could be whatever you feel resonant with. And you tell that energy to go back where it came from. It's not, it doesn't belong here. And that's literally what you did to the human form of that energy when you encountered it on the beach, on the dance floor.
Yeah.
You know, even the
Yeah.
barking chihuahuas that were mad about your hair. Like, stop. Stop
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. That was, yes, totally the energy. Yeah. I was like, I'm calling your bluff. Like, you're not going to punch me right here in the middle of this concert. So
And I just
step
remembered
aside.
so funny because I didn't realize that you were back from Brazil. And a couple months ago, I ran into you at Ecstatic Dance. And I was very excited because I thought I didn't know you were back in San Diego. And so we were just like chatting, but you know, dancing and kind of like chatting because you're not supposed to talk on the dance floor, but we're dancing and talking at the same time. But within like literally 60 seconds, I had three men, and of course they're the minority, and they were all happened to be white men, of course, but come up and tell me not, you know, to stop talking or like you can't talk on the dance floor. And I was like, why do you feel entitled to police this me? But I think it's they could see how lit up we were and they were not feeling that, and they did not want anybody else to be feeling lit up and connected when they were like feeling probably alone and awkward or whatever. So, oh, I have a purpose, I'll go tell these women to be quiet. And
Yeah.
it was I was really upset by it, but I was like brushed it off. And then I was really processing it a couple of days later and I saw what happened. But now also that I know that Pluto's transiting your seventh house and I'm a first house Pluto, those are like really powerful Pluto placements that do bring up a lot of projection and a lot of, you
So
know, you
much.
can be intimidating to people. And
Yeah.
in because they sense your power, whether you're owning it or not. So like my shadow work the last year and a half has been, everything about it has been owning my power. Every time I go in to meet my shadow, she's like this bad bitch, right? And I'm like, she's like, you got to let me out more. And I'm like, oh man, you're a little scary. And she does, but she's going to come out regardless. So I can either lead with her or she'll come out sideways. And then it's like really bad, right? Because I've been trying to be like, just be nice, just be nice. So
Yeah.
that's a thing. So whether or not I'm actually embodying that, people can, that have issues with power, either they want to dominate or they feel easily intimidated.
Yeah.
They will sense that in you, whether you're acting it out or not. It's just an energetic thing. So that has helped me to really own that energy too, because it's just there. It's there. And
Mm.
same with erotic energy. I mean, and Pluto is erotic energy. It's the planet that rules Scorpio, right? Which everybody.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I didn't realize that. I got a
Yeah.
lot of fluid on my chart, apparently, I heard. So that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like there's been so much, it's been over a decade now where I feel like there's been a big theme on empowering the feminine and bringing out more of this women's empowerment, erotic empowerment. And I think, I hate to even, I don't even want to say the name, but like the president that we've had in office has been a catalyst to that somewhat, because of all of the nonsense and what that represents. And instead of just tolerating it, there's been a movement that's been started, because we realize it's not just fun and play either. It really is empowerment. And I, yeah, I feel like that is just going to continue. And you shared some stories about the everyday predators that are going to come up and try to pornify beautiful, wholesome, erotic energy. Um, I've had the experience where I've been in some situations in which this has been a kind of a theme for me in San Diego, especially where I have a Neptune. It's kind of close to my Neptune line. Men trying to control me with money. And I've had it happen with a couple of my clients that were wealthy men. I've had it happen with a business partnership, and I've had it happen with some romantic partnerships. And it's kind of like that shadow side of Neptune of like, yeah, betrayal and yucky stuff. Anyway, each time that's happened, and also when I really started putting myself out there online and just like, and being more public with my erotic energy, which I couldn't before, because as a therapist working with at the school district, I really had a double life. There was like me with the kids, and then there's me who I really am. And I'm not somebody that's very good at having a double life. I really need to just be integrated. And this is who I am. Hate me or love me. This is who I am everywhere, kind of thing. And so coming out and actually just having sexy photos or showing my ass or whatever else, and doing it purposely for the intention of saying, you could do this too, you could celebrate your body too, if you already embody this erotic energy, like it should be celebrated, right? And I got accused from women saying I'm trying to like get attention from men, and I'm like, why would you think that? And why wouldn't you think it would just be for me? And why would you automatically assume I'm doing it to try to get attention from men, which was like not at all what I was doing. But I got a lot of attention from men, and a lot of it was very scary. And I was at one year, I ended up doing 3 restraining orders at the courthouse, and they were all different. One was like a stranger. It was one, it was just like all different people. But, and then I had things happening where like my internet would go out, and no matter what I did, they couldn't get it working again. It was like energetic things, right? And I was also doing my PhD research at the time on female sexual empowerment and sexual energy. And so it was a spiritual friend of mine that said, if you're doing this like really deep work with the goddess and like energy work and sexual energy work and empowerment, you need to call in some powerful goddesses for protection. And it had never occurred to me to do that. So I did. I had to call in the goddess, and I would do meditations like before I wrote my papers. You know, I'm channeling, like, please speak through me, through my fingers, and write what you want the world to know and to hear. And then I would ask for protection from these like kind of like predatory and aggressive men. And then even when I was at the courthouse, one of the times filing the restraining order, I had a man there threaten me. And I had to kind of do this. I was like, what is this? It's kind of like what you're going through right now. I had to tell him, you better back up right now because I'm next in line. Like I've been waiting here. Get behind me, and kind of like tell him what's up, right? And it's just like this entitlement. But with the interesting thing about the financial abuse is every time in the last, I'll say the last year, that this financial abuse has happened and somebody's trying to keep me down by like controlling me financially, the goddess comes in and throws me some money. So like, and this has happened with in this group called Circle of Roses, and it's run by Danielle Hendrickson, who is my former VA, and now she's transitioned. Speaking of Scorpio energy, she's a Scorpio, so she's fully transitioning into her priestess, scorpionic, intuitive self. And each time that I get into that circle, which is not just about tapping in and extracting from the goddess and just being like, please protect me. It's like sacredness and reverence for the goddess, where we're actually honoring that sacredness. And that is more powerful than anything, which is what reminds me of your art, your photos. It's this sacredness, it's this reverence for nature, for the female body. And that is more powerful than anything on earth. I swear to God, even more powerful than like this jaguar energy, because that is still, it's like a fierce state, but this is just like all encompassing. It's kind of like the world is this is how the world operates. You have forgotten, you earthlings, but this is actually what's real. And I mean, within minutes of that first group meeting, which was like a co-working, she calls it wealth hour, I had two clients, which were both women, say, hey, I want to do your program. Boom, like $2,000 right there.
Great.
And then another time, he was trying to use this financial abuse, and boom, I had a 15K client come in. And I was like,
Yeah.
She's like, I got you. You're not meant for this. You're not supposed to. This is not right. He thinks he's powerful. Let's show him that there's something bigger than him trying to dominate. So that, I think that is, maybe this is a place to wrap up, but I feel like there's nothing more powerful on earth than that sacred feminine energy. And partly because everybody wants it. Women crave it. Men crave it. They crave it so much that they get scared that they aren't worthy to be in it, and they have to pornify it and own it and pimp it and do all this stuff because they don't know how to just rise up to meet it. And as women, without it, we crave it, because without it, we do become that dry, cracked desert ground. We all need nourishment. We all need nature. What happens when we go swim in the ocean? You turn into a kid. You saw me during the photo shoot. You're like, okay, get in the water now. And I was just like transformed. I was like, whoa.
Yeah. I was like, take off your pants.
I already told my friends, like, okay, these are my outfits that I'm going to wear, but I know Meghan is going to try to get me naked at some point, and I'm not going to be able to say no, not in a bad way, but it's like, twist my arm. Okay. But I mean, we did go full nude, not that day, but that would have been the place for it. The people that were at the beach were so respectful, and it was perfect. And it was so mystical. And it was everything. It was the feminine energy that you bring, the safety. It was the nature. It was the people that were there, the locals, right? And they're like, big deal. There's a woman in lingerie rolling around in the sand. We've seen this before. happens all the time, whatever. But yeah, and I do want to say that too about your the energy that you create, because I've told you this before, I'm not somebody that's comfortable in front of the camera. I feel awkward. I'm like, I don't know how to pose. This
Yeah.
is strange. Like I can be on camera right now and speak. I can use my brain, but to just be
Yeah.
viewed, I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I supposed to do with my arms and my legs? I don't
Yeah.
even know. But you always make me feel so comfortable.
Oh,
And it's so natural. And then the photos end up being absolutely stunning because I don't have like a pained or tense look on my face, which is what I usually have when I'm working with somebody that's taking photos. So, I mean, yeah, it's definitely an experience. Definitely an experience. And I'm so grateful that we connected.
me too. Yeah, you totally changed my life. Oh my God. Yeah, you brought me to two different dance practices. First, it was our friend Kirti's dance group in the park where we would just like circle up, and Kirti would be like, okay, get in the middle of the circle. There's one rule, give no fucks and channel your ancestors and get in there. And then it was like just total embodiment, wild woman, like
Yeah.
crazy shit in public in the park. We were doing that every Sunday for like, I don't know how long.
5 years.
Yeah, I wasn't as long as you, but yeah. And then you brought me to my first pole class, and that, yeah, just set me on the journey that we just talked about. So thank you for initiating me. I'll never forget though, the first class, we were in the circle at Kirti's like women's dance, she calls it dance medicine.
Movement.
And
Yeah.
you were in the movement medicine. You were in the middle of the circle, like doing your channeling thing. Of course, you're like on all fours, and you just slowly crawled over to me, totally in the jaguar energy. You just like, it was kind of like, whoever was dancing in the middle picked the next person, and you just like crawled up to me, and like my whole spirit was like, yes, I'm ready. You just you were like, come in the middle. And then I think I went in the middle, and I just remember like writhing on the ground, like an animal. Like this energy just took over my body. It was like the craziest somatic release, and I just let it go. It was, and then after that, I thought, wow, I've literally never felt that free and embodied, like publicly in front of other people in my life. Holy shit, this is so powerful to be witnessed in this kind of expression.
Yeah.
So I felt like you really helped initiate me into that. So I'm so grateful.
That was before we knew we had the Jaguar connection. It was already coming through.
And yeah, that was the beginning. So here we are.
Yeah. And Kirti is so gifted too at liberating and creating that space too. I really miss
Yeah.
movement medicine. But speaking of liberation, you got something coming up at Ecstatic Dance next week, yeah?
Yeah.
Is it
Yeah.
what day is it? Friday or Saturday?
Yeah. Friday the 23rd. The dance collective that I was telling you about that I started, we're actually part of this band that has West African drums. It's called Fire Tribe. And we're going to be doing dance performances. I'm singing live music, some original music. And we're just going to create a temple worshiping the goddess. So you're welcome to join.
I'll be
And
there.
yes, come to that. Come to that.
I want
And
to let people know about that.
yeah, totally. If you want to be a part of the work that I'm doing, I would say just follow me on Instagram. That's where I post everything. I'm pretty active on there. It's Art in the Wild is my handle.
Underscore art in the wild underscore. Yeah.
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 Yeah. Totally.
And like I said, it's like just a little bliss break. I always say, meditation is like a bliss break, but that is definitely another form of bliss break, just to visit your page and
Oh,
through
thank
a little
you.
bit. Yeah. And people can contact you there. And I wanted to, I'm excited to go to Ecstatic Dance and see you perform for sure. And that is just a couple weeks before I'm setting sail. I'm leaving San Diego after 25 years. It's kind of crazy, and I don't I don't really know for sure where I'm going to end up, but hitting the road. And so this podcast actually went on hiatus in 2022 because I was having to move. There was a mold issue in my house. And I thought, okay, as soon as I get settled, I'll come back. But I never got settled. It's been
Wow.
almost 5 years of not being settled. So I'm like, all right, I guess the message is lean in and just go mobile with it. And
Yeah.
so I'll be continuing to broadcast from my travels or from the road or from the chaos, I guess.
Yeah, I'm on the road too. I'm in Miami.
That's right. I know. Oh gosh.
I'm in my nomad era. So,
Yeah, bringing all the Miami juice back to San
mhm.
Diego. I love it. Yeah. So thank you so much for
Thank you.
being here. Anything else that you feel like you need to mention or want to share with anyone?
I don't think so. Yeah.
You're feeling complete. You're
Yeah.
feeling turned on,
Yes.
alive.
Yeah.
Probably ready to go to bed. It's a little bit late there now.
Yeah.
Or maybe
A
some
little
more
bit.
dancing.
Yeah. Some more dancing for sure.
That's Miami. Come on now. All right. Well, I look forward
Thank
to
you so much.
seeing you at Ecstatic Dance, and thank you so much for joining me for this comeback episode. Wow, kicking it off with fire energy, double Leo in the house. Love
Triple,
it.
yeah.
Triple
Yeah.
Leo, where's your third? I know Leo
Mars.
Sun, Leo Rising. Oh, Leo Mars. Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you're a powerhouse.
It's intense.
For sure, for sure. Okay. Well, for anybody that has tuned in, thank you for being here. I don't yet know if I'm going to stick to a regular schedule for going live or just doing it in my pleasure. So you'll have to just be watching my YouTube and watching my Instagram at Natasha.Edwina to stay in the loop. But what I can guarantee is lots of spicy conversations, unfiltered opinions, and commentary, and lots of juicy stories. So hope to see you again. Bye, everyone.